Welcome to the channel, guys. So this is going to be a review of this guy, which is a Razorback hatchet made in Australia. Okay, what I'm going to do in this video, and normally when you do a review of an axe or hatchet, you'll build a fire, boil the billy or whatever, do some cooking, and show the splitting abilities of the tool. The situation at the moment in Australia and New South Wales and other states is quite critical with bushfires, and it's really not a responsible thing to do to set any bushfires, any campfires at the moment, because obviously they have the potential to turn into bushfires. I mean, it is a sad thing that quite a lot of these fires that we have in Australia are the work of arsonists, all right? Obviously some are accidental. We are in a total fire ban. It's a really bad situation and we're in the moment. You know, everybody is talking about it. We've had firefighters die, we've had members of the public die, and the army's been called out. And not to get political, but there's certainly a lot of criticism of the government of their handling of this problem at the moment. So rather than start a little campfire, what I want to do in this video is do a little bit of shelter craft, okay? So this is just something I like to do. Sometimes I spend the night in these shelters, sometimes obviously I just build them for the practice of it. So I'm just going to build a sort of little Gunyah style shelter using the Razorback hatchet as a tool. Also what I'm going to do as well, just to be a little bit more ethical in this situation, is just use dead material, okay, material that's already, you know, I'm not going to start cutting into living plants, okay. Occasionally we'll do that if they're weed species, okay, but around me at the moment it's just all Australian natives. So Australian native plants already have got enough problems with introduced diseases and pests and mankind without, you know, harvesting them needlessly, alright. Going on a little bit, I'll get stuck into it. I'm going to use that little bow there as a little basis for my shelter. So this tree is a whole, you know, half a YouTube video by itself. Probably one of the most useful trees in terms of Australian bushcraft. Okay, multiple uses. So this is paperbark tree or Melaleuca quinquenervia, member of the Myrtaceae family. And as you can see, it gets its name because of this, because of the paperbark here. And as it pertains to sheltercraft, this is really good stuff, okay? So this acts like a shingle. Yeah, you get large sheets of this. This is a relatively young one. Obviously you get much bigger trees. So you can simply rip that off, put it on the roof of your shelter, and that's going to shed water and give you good insulation. Also you can use it as bedding, okay? Multiple uses as well. Everything from firecraft to burying dead people. This tree is an incredibly useful resource in the bush. But because I'm just doing this as an exercise, I'm just using dead trees and dead organic matter. I'm not really going to sort of dig into living plants, okay? So if we walk around, this is only 10 minutes in, right? So I've started to build essentially a frame, okay? And what I've found in the past with this is not be too fussy. Allow yourself to be messy. I think as Westerners we are used to everything being at right angles and angular, all right? And for this particular type of sheltercraft, I would argue just allow yourself to be a little bit random and not so neat and tidy. And it's more about not expending energy, okay? A hatchet is useful, cutting tool is useful, but you can kind of do without it. So this is the basic frame. Okay, I'll add a little bit more frame material and then I'll start to add bark to this, and then again a little bit more frame type material. And you can see this broken tree, the sort of L shape, a little bit like a lintel, okay, and that's supporting the weight of the other material, okay. Other thing I've done here, you can see my hat and my fleece, and this is a chamois, and I've kind of mapped out where I intend to sleep. Okay, so that would be my lying position. Then a little bit of a sort of entrance at the front, you know, where I could just chill out, have a drink of water, something to eat, whatever. A shelter like this, absolutely brilliant in the heat, and should offer a fair, depending on how much work you put into it, a fair amount of protection from the rain and the wind. Okay, I'm not sure the wind direction at the moment. There's almost no wind, so I just took a guess. Okay, and just a little sort of area. I tend to keep all the equipment in one area. Something I've learned is it's very easy in an environment like this. It's very easy to lose a piece of equipment. Okay, so I have a designated area. When you're not using something, it goes into that area. Okay, but I'll get stuck into it. Still heaps more to do. That's what the leaf looks like. And this is Smilax Blastophila. It's a vine, yeah? Definition of a vine is a plant with tendrils. Okay, that's all a vine is. Okay, you can see it's growing over here, some dead material. It's growing over these gums. Okay, absolutely brilliant bush tucker plant. I just noticed this as I was doing the shelter, and I stopped and I had a couple of leaves. And what you'll do, so you see it growing. Sometimes it will be eye level, sometimes it will be a bit further down. You have a look. You try and get the small leaves. All right. No bigger than that, smaller than that is preferable. If you're in camp and you're boiling the billy, you can make yourself a really nice tea with these, okay? At least I think it's a nice tea. But if you're on the fly, if you're on the move, if you're building a shelter or you're just bushwalking, just in the mouth like that, chew it a couple of times and you'll get a really sweet flavor in your mouth. And it's really refreshing. It's just something about it. It just gives you a lift, okay? Quite often when I'm bushwalking, you're going K after K, that much water, you're starting to really fade out. Have one or two of these, just gives you a lift, okay? Absolutely brilliant bush tucker plant to know about. I'm probably going to take one or two of the leaves for later on, and I might just boil myself, or brew myself up a pot of tea for later on. So there we go. We've got a half decent amount of bark there. Could use some more, obviously, but it gives you a good idea of how it should be done. Certainly that's enough bark for cooling you down on a hot day. You'll be several degrees cooler in there than you would be outside. Quite a nice bit of shade, and also reasonably good protection against the wind and the rain. Okay, and obviously if I was here for a few days, I'd keep adding to this and refining it. I could easily use double the amount of bark on this that I've got on the moment, but I'm restricting myself again to just using dead material. Okay, you know, if I was to use green material, there would be more resources opening up to me, but for obvious reasons I'm not doing that. So we're kind of coming round. This is sort of the entrance side of the shelter. Where the shemog is where it'd be lying out, and that's a pretty decent little shelter for half an hour's work maybe. It's pretty cool. Minimal, no use of cordage whatsoever. Not really cross-cutting the wood very much, not using cutting tools very much, but the hatchet was pretty handy. Yeah, this thing is amazing. It's a beast. Look at it. It's like a work of art, man. It's the most unusual hatchet I've ever been in my possession. This is on a long-term loan from a mate. He loves it, and I mean, Australian made. What can you say? How cool is that? So the company itself, they're more known for fencing, but they produce their own tools, and they do produce a small line of hatchets and axes. They do a full-size Tasmanian axe called a knockabout, and then they do the hatchet in 3 different sizes. They've got a stubby at 25 centimeters. There's a slightly longer one, maybe a two-handed style, 51 centimeters. This is the 41 centimeter, which I think is just right, just for general use. Okay, just look at it. I mean, this is well used, very, very cool. On the website it says hand forged head. Okay, um, it's really designed for Australian conditions. Okay, it's a really good splitter. If you go like this and you try and choke up with it and do fine carving tasks, not so much. If you want to carve spoons and make bowls and all that kind of stuff, no. But for a general hatchet to take camping, car camping, four-wheel driving, to have in the shed to split firewood for your home, that kind of thing, absolutely excellent. Okay, but as a wood carver, not so much. And you know, it's just really designed. You really need a good splitter in Australia because the woods here are just notoriously hard, okay, and knotty. Okay, very different from Europe, Scandinavia. Okay, look at this thing. It's a work of art, man. So the wedge, maybe a little bit off center there. This looks like a different wood. This looks like Jarrah. The handle itself is beautiful. It is a spotty gum handle, Cornbin maculata. You can see that wavy grain there. And this is certainly one of the best woods in the world for hatchet and hatchet hand axes and hatchet handles. We've got a little bit of run out here, maybe here as well. Not important. Really good quality, really sustainable timber. Certainly one of the top 3 timbers in the world to use for an axe or a hatchet. Okay, we've got the logo here. There is a kind of weird design feature here where there's a kind of it doesn't have a metal wedge, but it has this pin. Okay, we've got the brand name here, Australia, and then we've got the boar's head here. All right, which obviously makes it highly decorative. Okay, I actually looked at their website and they said they're sold out at the moment. Okay, I think that's just the Christmas rush. They'll probably be back in stock soon. If you go to a website called Drifter, which is a little bit more four-wheel drive orientated, it's in stock there. But on the Seddon's website, it's not in stock, although you can back order. Okay, wow, really cool, incredibly good hatchet, and very unusual shape to the handle, as you can see. It takes a little bit of getting used to. The swell here is really big. Okay, maybe it's like a little bit oversized in my opinion. I suppose you could, you know, shorten it if you wanted to. I would maybe drill a hole in there. But you got this, you know, swell in the middle as well. Okay, so it works for a hatchet. For an axe, it wouldn't work because you'd want to transition your hand up and down. For a hatchet, you know, it's kind of just another way of doing it. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it kind of works, you know. Again, I think this is more of a camp axe, four-wheel driving, you know, car camping, at the homestead, at home, on the farm. It's not a great carver, you know. If you're going to carve bowls and you're going to carve spoons and that kind of thing, you'd probably want something else. But just as a splitter, just to kind of tackle, and as a tough tool, it does extremely well. You know, I'm just showing it off a little bit here. I mean, when I went into that stringy bark and I was using it as a lever, I was exerting quite a lot of force on it, and certainly a few kilograms of pressure. Not really how it's supposed to be used. And you could just tell with an inferior tool, with something made in China, something cheap, that's where it would break, you know. but this thing is pretty tough and a really different and amazing hatchet. So with any kind of product, you can't just stand there and think it's amazing, I love it, I love it. You got to be critical. You got to have some kind of like insight or analysis, pros and cons. Everything is a trade-off. Everything has really good aspects to it, and everything has some kind of downside. Obviously, for a lot of people, excuse me, the downside is going to be the price. It is a little bit on the pricey side, but I mean, I can't imagine how hard it is to produce something like this in Australia. Okay, you're paying for quality. It's a small company. It's a family-run company. They're not going to be able to compete with things like Council Tools or Granford's Brooks or Hull Brooks or these kind of companies, right? And you're supporting the local economy, right? And it's really great to see an Australian-made product like this, and the fact that it is a quality product. Again, for me, in my personal opinion, um, it's, it doesn't quite suit my body dynamics, as it were, because I'm a little bit of a sort of more medium build with small hands. It would tend to suit bigger blokes with bigger hands. Right, there's my hands there. Okay, that would be my opinion. It's a little bit more four-wheel drive car camping than something like a wood carving axe. I mean, you could carve a spoon or a bowl or something like that with it, but it's primarily a splitter. It really is designed to deal with Australian hardwoods. These guys behind me, okay, eucalypts and cornbims and angophoras and things like that. Really hard woods, okay, that would chew up a cheap axe, okay. This is a really high quality product. My one little gripe, my one little complaint is the sheath. I think the sheath could have been of much better quality, okay. I think this lowers the whole package down, okay. So they've used a style of rivet that I haven't seen used. Um, I've only ever seen this style of rivet used on vintage items. It just I don't even know if you can buy them anymore. It's a style of rivet where it's kind of like a head, like a nail head, and you have two small prongs that go out on the other side of the leather. Okay, so there's the two small prongs, and there's the kind of like the facet side, the nail side. It's a very flimsy setup. Um, it just shouldn't be done like that. It should be a copper rivet or something else. That's sewing. That's one of these is popping out. It's almost nearly gone. All right, that's just this one here is popping out. Okay, um, that lets the whole package down. That being said, this can be replaced. Okay, quite easily. The other thing with the mask is Velcro. All right. I think that's very disappointing. But I mean, from my perspective, you've got to remember that I myself, I'm a leather worker. I sell stuff online. I've made hundreds and hundreds of leather items and sold them. And this is a material I'm very familiar with, so I'm very critical of it. That being said, this just lowers the whole thing down, okay, but can be replaced, okay. Um, this is awesome, freaking amazing. I'm just very, it just warms the cockles of my heart, as they say. Very useful tool. That's just my take on it. It probably suits bigger blokes in terms of body dynamics. It's a little bit more car camping, homestead, that kind of style than, a wood carving kind of axe, Does split very well, does tackle Australian hardwoods very, very well, which is what it is designed to do. So I would give it a 9 out of 10. I think if they improved the sheath, it would get a 10 out of 10, and it's well worth the money.